This is not just a video. It's a direct and unfiltered journey into the dark mechanisms of your mind. A free course on one of Sigmund Freud's most unsettling discoveries: repression, the silent destroyer. The defense that pretends to protect you, but ends up breaking you from within. He destroyed his own mind, not with drugs, not with violence, but through years of unconscious emotional suppression and the terrifying truth. So are you, if you've ever felt sudden anxiety for no reason, if you've snapped at someone and had no idea why, if your past haunts you without memory. You are already caught in the repression trap. This course is for those who feel emotionally numb, stuck in cycles of guilt, shame, fear. For those who want more than shallow motivation. No fluff, no fake positivity, just raw psychological truth and a path to awareness. If you're ready to stop running from yourself, you're in the right place. The goal of this video is simple, but not easy. It's to help you understand one of Freud's most powerful and disturbing ideas. That much of your suffering doesn't come from outside of you, it comes from what you've buried inside. Repressed emotions, memories, desires, feelings you refused to feel, thoughts you couldn't face, the things you forced into the unconscious because they were too much. But here's what Freud taught us. What you repress doesn't disappear. It waits, and it returns as anxiety, nightmares, outbursts, self-hate, physical illness. You don't remember it, but your body does. Your behavior does. This content is for those who feel trapped in emotional cycles they can't explain. For those who want to understand why nothing they try gives lasting peace. It's for the ones carrying invisible pain. This is not just information, it's insight that can change how you see your mind forever. This is the Freudian path to freedom, and it begins by no longer lying to yourself. Freud called it the unconscious, a vast mental space you cannot see, but which controls more of your life than you realize. And at the center of that space lies repression, the defense mechanism that buries painful truths. Imagine this. A child feels intense rage toward a parent, but knows it's not allowed. That rage doesn't vanish. It gets pushed down, deep into the unconscious. Years later, the adult feels explosive anger or anxiety, but can't explain why. That is repression at work. Freud believed repression is the mind's way of protecting you from unbearable emotions, but it's a trap. What is buried becomes unprocessed. What is unprocessed becomes toxic. You don't choose what to repress. It happens automatically, often in childhood. And yet, these buried emotions shape your relationships, your fears, your habits. You don't just forget the past, you live it over and over again, without knowing why. This is not philosophy, this is psychic reality, and the cost of avoiding it is your peace of mind. You may not remember what you've repressed, but your nervous system never forgets. Freud warned that repressed content doesn't stay silent. It leaks out in disguised, destructive forms. Ask yourself, do you experience sudden panic or sadness without reason? Do you feel emotionally numb, as if something inside you is missing or frozen? Do you overreact in certain situations and have no idea why? Do you fear being alone or constantly sabotage relationships that feel too good? These are not just bad habits or mood swings. These are symptoms, cracks in the wall of repression. You may even have physical signs: chronic tension, jaw clenching, digestive issues. Freud believed the body expresses what the conscious mind refuses to face. And here's the cruel twist. The more you repress, the more you lose touch with your authentic self. You become a stranger too. your own emotions. That's the trap. But once you start noticing these patterns, you've already begun your escape. Repression is not evil. It begins as a survival tool. When your mind encounters thoughts or feelings it can't handle, trauma, guilt, forbidden desires, it locks them away. That's repression. I didn't feel that. That didn't happen. I don't care. But here's Freud's terrifying insight. What the mind hides, it doesn't erase. It stores. And over time, those buried emotions don't stay quiet. They rot. They grow in the darkness of your unconscious, reshaping your personality from the inside out. Think of repression like stuffing dangerous materials into a box labeled "Do not open." The box doesn't disappear. It swells. It leaks. One day, it bursts in the form of anxiety, addiction, depression, or breakdown. Freud said, neurosis is the price we pay for our repression. The very thing that once protected you now imprisons you. The more you avoid your inner truth, the more power it has over you. To break free, you must feel what you once refused to feel. Awareness is the beginning of liberation. Freud taught that the only way to heal repression is to make the unconscious conscious. You cannot change what you don't see. So how do you start? Step 1. Watch your overreactions. When your response to something is far bigger than the situation deserves, stop. Ask, what emotion am I really reacting to? Step 2. Pay attention to what you avoid. Conversations you dodge. Topics that trigger you. People who make you uncomfortable. Often, they reflect something inside you, something repressed. Step 3. Journal your emotional flashes. Write down sudden feelings, even if they don't make sense, especially the ones you'd rather ignore. That's where the gold is. Step 4. Notice recurring dreams and body symptoms. Your unconscious speaks through symbols, and your body is its loudest messenger. This isn't about digging for pain. It's about reclaiming the parts of you you've left behind. Because what was once unbearable can become your greatest source of clarity once you face it. Most people never escape Freud's repression trap. Not because they can't, but because they won't. Why? Because facing the truth is painful. It's easier to say, "I'm fine," than admit you're still haunted by something you pretend never happened. It's easier to blame others than to ask, what have I buried that still controls me? Freud warned that the unconscious fights back. The ego resists. Repression is not just forgetting, it's self-protection. And breaking the cycle means tearing down the walls you built to survive. That takes courage. Not just to feel, but to feel fully. To admit, yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm scared. Yes, I've been lying to myself. But here's the truth. Once you face what's buried, it loses its power. You stop being ruled by ghosts. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to face yourself. That's how you break the cycle. That's how you get your mind back. Freud didn't just study repression, he feared it. His final warning was simple. What you refuse to face today will destroy you tomorrow. Repression is never neutral. It doesn't just hide pain, it reshapes your entire identity. Over time, the repressed self becomes a stranger inside you, driving your choices, ruining your peace, wrecking your relationships. Anxiety, chronic dissatisfaction, explosive anger, emotional numbness. These aren't random disorders, they're the echoes of truths you've buried. The longer you run, the heavier it gets. And here's the tragedy. Many will carry their shadow to the grave, never knowing that the freedom they sought was on the other side of discomfort. Freud's work was a mirror, not to shame you, but to show you, this is what you're not. Seeing so, ask yourself, will you keep avoiding the pain? Or will you finally turn inward and face the self you've locked away? The cost of avoidance is your mind. The reward of honesty is your life. Insight without action is just more avoidance. Freud's brilliance wasn't just in theory, it was in the challenge he posed. Now that you know, what will you do? Here are 7 simple but powerful daily practices to break the repression trap. 1. Conscious inner dialogue. When you feel triggered, pause. Ask, what part of me is speaking? What am I avoiding feeling? 2. Reflective writing. Each night, write about one emotional reaction that surprised you. Explore where it really came from. Point 3. Dream journaling. Keep a notebook by your bed. Write down your dreams, especially the strange or recurring ones. They speak the language of the repressed. For mindfulness, spend 5 to 10 minutes observing your breath and bodily sensations. Notice the emotions beneath your thoughts without judgment. 5. Relationship mirroring. When someone irritates or fascinates you, ask, what part of me am I seeing in them? 6. Boundary setting. Learn to say no. Every time you betray yourself to please others, repression grows. 7. Persona reviews. Once a week, ask, what am I pretending to be? What parts of me have I hidden to fit in? This is your daily psychoanalysis. Small steps that change your entire internal world. Now that you've come this far, there's something you need to understand. This is a one-way path. You can't unknow what you've seen. You can't pretend your mind is fine. You can't go back to blaming the world for what lives in your unconscious, and that's a good thing. Because forward is where your freedom lives. But this journey demands something. Commitment, not perfection, not instant healing, but a decision to stop running from yourself. So, if you're ready, type these words in the comments. I am willing to face my shadow, not just for the algorithm, for yourself. Writing it is an act of courage, a psychological contract between you and your unconscious. Let it be your first step toward wholeness. Let it mark the moment you stopped hiding, because Freud didn't just give us a theory, he gave us a mirror, and now it's your turn to look into it and not look away.